I'm doing this video because I really feel like in dealing with the employees of the state of New York, like slamming my head up against a wall. That's how I feel every time I have to interface with them because they can't, like they're playing a game and you can't just talk to them on a solid platform of communication where they just in turn respond accurately and professionally. They have to play a game. Like, I'm beginning to think at this point that they intentionally fuck up everything. Like, if they receive large balloons of money from the federal government and the federal government says, we need you to administer these funds in such and such and such and such a way, I'm really beginning to believe that they intentionally fuck things up all the way through as a part of a job security mechanism so that they can at a later point in time ask for more funding to fix up their previous fuck ups. I mean, I'm really beginning to think that. So in 2019, I had a small workplace accident. It was right at the beginning of the year. My thumb locked up and I couldn't move my thumb. It was like stuck in place. And even if I forced it with my other hand to, push it down, it would just spring right back up. So I had to report it as a workplace incident, and it later got reported as workers' comp. And because I was going through a staffing agency called Remedy, I wasn't allowed to return back to work until a doctor gave me the okay to do that. So I went a few weeks without getting any pay, and then I started getting concerned because they wouldn't let me go back to work. And they tried to offer up they said that I could work in their office and continue to get paid. And I said, okay, well, what would I be doing? And they said, helping them with administrative stuff. And I said, would I get any training for that? And they said, no, they would just tell me, what to do. And I asked them, well, where would I work? And they took me into this room that had no windows and a small door. And I said, I can do this, but I can't work in that room. And they said that they couldn't have me out front because I wasn't technically one of their employees. But they wanted to keep me in a back room and do administrative stuff for them. And I have claustrophobia, so, it wasn't going to work for me. And so they played this game where, I wasn't meeting workplace standards, and that, they denied my workers comp claim. And when I filed for unemployment, they denied my unemployment, and it like ballooned into all this stuff all over a small thumb injury. I could have continued to work. I mean, there were people there with obvious disabilities, but they were not going to let me go back to work. And so, needless to say, I did get unemployment for a few months. And it's just been one hassle after another. When we received pandemic pay, large sums of money got withheld to repay the 2019 unemployment, and it's just this ongoing issue. So any attempt that I make to straighten this out, they won't straighten it out. And so I sent them this package in this past August, and tried to get my 1099 corrected. And this is what I said to them. And I tried to outline this as clear and concise as possible, but what transpired after that is just another nightmare. They said that I was eligible for 26 weeks of unemployment in 2019, $450 a week. So they should have immediately funded the account shown on their end, funded $11,700. They processed a 1099 for me for $11,250. But I didn't receive $11,250 from them. So I asked for a correction, and I said, through your own admissions in an email dated August 4th, 2019, and I did attach that, your department made payments to my account for 26 weeks of benefits. At the time, the benefit amount was $450 per week, which means the account was funded in the amount of $11,700. Of the funded amount, your department withheld $450 per policy for the first week and assessed 4 days as forfeited. Through your own admissions in a history report generated on October 22nd, 2020, and I did attach that, I was paid for a total of 20 weeks at $450 per week, or $9,000, meaning the department retained the remaining funding of $2,250. You therefore erroneously processed a tax form 1099 claiming that I had received compensation in the amount of $11,250 when in fact I received $9,000 in compensation for the tax year 2019. Now, if you add up the first week that they withheld, which is the $450, plus the variance of what they say I received versus what I actually did receive, the $2,250, that is what the department held, $2,700. They, instead of recognizing that they made an error and apologizing for making that error and sending me the corrected form, they instead made a referral to the hearing office, and now I'm scheduled for a hearing, and I received a package of a lot of mismatched paperwork, almost like they took my file of the things that I had sent them, threw them on a conference room table, and threw in a bunch of unrelated things, and then scrambled it all up, and then ran it through some type of scanning machine, assigning page numbers, and then packaged it up and said, we're going to hold a hearing on what's in this package, instead of sending me something that has a chronological listing of what really went on. So now I have to weed through all this paperwork and try to figure out what belongs to me versus somebody else. What's the purpose of this hearing, blah, 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 blah. Because I didn't make the request. I made the request for some corrected 1099s. I also get in the mail this letter. And this letter says, in reply to your Form 1099G question, our records indicate the information on your 2019 Form 1099G is correct. But it's not. And so this letter was processed with an effective date of June 8th, 2020, when I had inquired about this in August of 2021. And they mailed the letter September 15th, 2021, which, the dating of documents that then have some type of legal effect to them, that's concerning too. So I don't know what the answer is. Obviously I have to attend this hearing, and I'm trying to keep my composure because it's quite obvious they just hire people that and put them in positions that really have no basic understanding of not only their system, but perhaps how to manage funds. And that's kind of concerning and very, very alarming with me. If you have similar issues, good luck. If you take a look back and you on one of your 1099s from the New York State Department of Labor, and you then look at your bank statements and you see what you actually received versus what they're claiming, I don't know what to tell you because they're not going to fix it. And the other portion is, we have to pay income tax on this because it's some form of income when it should be, insurance benefits are not supposed to be taxable income. I don't know who changed that, but good luck. But just for, knowledge sake and purposes, I would probably encourage you to take a look at what you actually received versus what they're reporting that you received on a 1099 and see what that big balloon variance is, because that definitely has a tax consequence to you on your federal and your state taxes. Good luck. It's a never-ending crutch.